All right. Tonight we're going to talk about Don't Break the Chain. This is Thoughts from 5D. So, one of the things I've realized is that just because something is well known, and Don't Break the Chain is definitely something that's like super well known because of Jerry Seinfeld, that there's this constant influx of new people, young people, who barely even know who Jerry Seinfeld is. And so it's this weird thing where it's like, in my schema, everyone kind of already knows what I'm talking about, but in reality, that's like not the truth. So anyway, don't break the chain. So some days are easier than others, and today is not an easy day. It's not like a super impossible day, but it's not an easy day. And as I got ready to do this, I just have this feeling of accomplishment of like, don't break the chain. And I noticed as I was setting everything up, things are getting easier. And, this momentum is just, dude, it's momentum is like, bro, I feel like I should just retitle this The Nature of Momentum, but I won't. Don't break the chain. Bro, momentum is like literally everything. I feel like there should be an entire religion based around the concept of momentum. Maybe there is, and I'm just, retarded for not realizing it. But man, I remember so clearly being in this phase that I'm in right now, which is like the pre-embryonic stage of momentum, but where meaning there is no external validation for the momentum that I'm experiencing, but there's like a tiny little bit of internal feelings of momentum. And the way that life works is that it's like a potential and kinetic energy, like boiling water, where for a few minutes it looks like nothing's happening, and then all of a sudden the water starts boiling, meaning that the effects are occurring internally for some amount of time, and then all of a sudden they are seen and felt externally. And but if you don't have like the confidence or the wherewithal to keep applying heat, it looks like, it won't ever, the potential energy will never turn into kinetic energy. So at some level, there's a certain amount of faith required to know that like all this potential energy will one day become kinetic. And the way that you do that, in my very strong opinion, is through not breaking the chain and allowing the momentum to keep building. And, this is really easier said than done in so many ways, especially if you've never done it before. This is like the second or third or fourth time in my life I've done this. And so I have a certain amount of like, embrace the suck, as they say, which comes from the military. I assume all this context that people have, but a lot of people don't have it. But I guess in some ways my content is not made for the people that have like that little context. Anyway, embrace the suck, which is, dude, I feel like such a retard in many ways, because it's like, bro, I'm just like back to square one again. Like, basically no audience, no street cred, no value, just this like full on loser who's just talking into a camera, like with some dream that one day this is going to be some real big shit. And I have no way of knowing, number one, if the dream will ever come true, and number two, how long it will take. And the hit to social status that I feel, whether or not it's real. You know, obviously the reality is like nobody cares about anybody else, right? It's just like but I don't know. You like a little bit. Little bit. People care a little bit. They care enough to judge and dismiss and mock, right? Like, and you know, it's not the end of the world, but I don't historically have the thickest skin in the world. And so you just, you know, so I just have to go through it. I just have to like deal with the fact that I am a loser and like I don't have any value and no one gives a shit, and like embrace the suck and realize like nothing is going to be handed to me on a silver platter, and I just have to keep showing up and allowing the momentum to keep building. Because here's the thing about momentum. It's like, so right now I have literally zero external validation. I have no one going like, oh bro, this is good shit you're saying, right? But theoretically, one day, one person will be like, damn, dude, that was a dope video. That's awesome. Thank you. And I'm like, oh shit, somebody noticed, right? And then that begins like the first little bubble of kinetic energy. And then all of a sudden you start feeling yourself like a little bit, right? And you start talking with some conviction because you're like, yeah, this is good shit that I'm saying, right? And then all the conviction attracts like a second or a third person eventually. And they're like, damn, dude, wow, that was good. Like, you keep doing this, bro. And then all of a sudden you have two or three people. And then you start like taking risks, right? You start saying the shit that you're scared to say because you're like, fuck it, I don't care, right? And there are consequences to that negatively, but there are also consequences positively because there are so few people in the world saying things that they're afraid to say that are, you know, outside the Overton window, etc., that like now a few people are like, oh shit, like, this shit's legit, right? And now you start having 5 or 10 or 20 people, and now you're on your way. Ah, dude, I knew I had an idea for a totally different topic earlier today, and I completely forgot about it. I was listening to the newest Drink Champs podcast with DJ Quick, who's like, you know, I have a song called DJ Quick is My Idol. So it was a big deal. It was a little disappointing, to be honest with you, because he had on some other guy, you know, who's his homie. And like, so, you know, it had a little bit too much of a vibe of like a panel as opposed to like an interview. Like, it didn't go as deep as I would have dreamt it would. That's just my personal opinion. But anyway, I had the feeling, I can't remember why. I know why, because they were talking about like, oh, favorite rappers, West Coast, Kendrick, Drake, Beef, you know, blah blah blah. Who you stacking up on the West? You know, Nori's saying this, and I just what kept coming to my head was Daylight, right? And they didn't say Daylight or anything, but you know, Daylight is he's one of my favorite human beings, like, on the planet, you know, dead or alive, and just a super genius. And he's on TDE, which is the same label as Kendrick Lamar, and he's part of this group that this guy Punch has called Room Full of Mirrors. And Punch said to them that the way it works is it's just one fan at a time. And something about listening to that interview and thinking about Daylight, it made me feel like, okay, that's what this is going to be. This is going to be a grind of one fan at a time. And that's actually what I want. I think I've never wanted something so authentically and genuinely before, that if I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fans, people that are like excited every time a new video comes out, like, I'm with it. I'm down with that. I'm like going out and being like, yo, I got 8 fans, bro. And I think to people, Like they'd be like, "What are you talking about? That's pathetic." Like, I listen to Harry Mack a lot. He's got like, well, I don't know, 8, 10, 15 million followers on TikTok, whatever. And they're like, "Bro, why are you geeked about having 8 fans?" I'm like, "Bro, you don't know. They fuck with me. 8 people, bro." And they really like pay attention to my content, and like I'm gonna build it. I can feel it. Next week I'll have 9, and then like next month I'll have 13, right? And I can feel that like that that's like an endless motivator. I've never, it's almost like I bless you, the viewer, to find the thing that you are so, I don't know, that's so authentically you, that having 2 real fans feels like a milestone, like a breakthrough. And you have a willingness to do it 1 fan at a time. Like if next year, if a year from today, I have 200 serious fans, meaning like every video I put out has 200 like clicked right away, notification gang, like 60 comments on 200 views. That is what I want. I want engagement. I want like people that are genuinely engaged with what I think about and the things that I think are important. And if I had 200 people, let's say 300, like I feel like if I had, obviously this is what happens, people like move goalposts. I feel like if I had 400 fans total, like serious fans, like diehards, that would be kind of like, I would consider myself an overwhelming success. And so how do you get that? It takes momentum. It takes time for people to find you. It takes time for something to go a tiny bit viral or get shared, or have people stumble upon you, and like you have to keep showing up. And the way to do that, from Jerry Seinfeld, is don't break the chain. Keep checking off day after day of this continuous putting things out and showing up, and trusting that over time the momentum will build, and the thing that you're doing will become successful. So that is thoughts from 5D. Peace.
Otis5D.xyz.
Go fuck yourself.